What's up guys? Today I wanted to show you a map I made quite a while back, and that map is my reimagining of Terminal from Halo 2. If you're subscribed already, you probably already got a notification for this video, but that version is an uncut walkthrough with no commentary, where this version is with a commentary and a little bit of editing. I'm going to try to do this from now on with my Forge videos, but I'm going to try to drop them at the same time or maybe a day apart. So a little backstory about this map actually. Back in the day before I even had Xbox Live, my friends and I would play Halo 2 split screen every day for like 3-ish or so years after we got done skating for the day. This was from ages 7 to 10. Then my older brother got an Xbox 360 and he also got an Ethernet cord and an Xbox Live subscription. Mind you, he's 7 years older than me, so he was about 17 at that time. From there, I would go on to play my first Halo game online, and that was Halo 3. After a little bit of playing Halo 3 online, I got curious and popped a old copy of Halo 2 in the Xbox. And when I went to go play it online, the game made me download some DLC packs for free, and this made my 10-year-old brain explode because I had no idea this game even had DLC. Like I said before, I had played this game for years with all my friends, but none of us had Xbox Live, so this hit me like a freight train when I found this out. I just remember going down the list of maps after I downloaded the DLC, and I saw a picture of a train on one, and I thought that looked like an interesting map as a 10-year-old kid. While I barely ever played Halo 2 online because people were way too good at button combos and I always got obliterated, I did find a map that I was really drawn to and would come back to reimagine in the 5th mainline installment of the Halo series. And that to me is really cool. It's like a seed was planted by the devs at Bungie in my brain, but it didn't sprout until about 10 years later. This was also a map I gave up on completely when I first tried remaking it in Halo 5, all because two people got their versions of their remake / reimagining and matchmaking, and it made me a super salty 19-year-old at the time, so I deleted it. But I never felt good about deleting it. I always felt like a quitter even though that version I made was super trash. I still wish I had it, even though I didn't put any care into it. But when I was about 22-ish, I tried giving it another shot, and these are the results I wound up with. This is my favorite map remake I've ever done, and I walk around this map all the time by myself because, to me, this map was a huge accomplishment. This map remake made me feel like I could tackle any map I set my mind to. And it gave me confidence, silly enough, in my foraging ability. So when I started remaking this map, I started with the mechanics garage first because I figured this was the most complex part of the map to me, so I wanted to get it out of the way first. Now, not everything is one-to-one, you'll hear me say that with all my remakes, but I always try to stay as true to possible to what was there before, but sometimes things don't line up or scale properly, and I just have to let some things be a little bit different in the end. Like this window seal outside of the building isn't the easiest jump to make anymore. It's still possible if you set the movement speed and gravity to more of a Halo 2 walking speed and gravity, because I play the maps I make with classic settings. Also, this mechanics garage took about 1/3 of my actual budget, and I sat with just this part of the map done for a couple days wondering how I'm even going to be able to make the rest of the map's layout with a little over 1,000 pieces left, and still had so much more work to do with what felt like so little to do it with. So I got to cutting some of the geometry out of the mechanics garage that I felt like I could use somewhere else in the map. Like the geometry at the bottom of the hallway here, and the geometry underneath this thingy. Then there, I figured my next move was to make the parking garage straight across from the mechanics garage. There are too many garages on this map. From the outside of the parking garage, it might look like it does in Halo 2, but if you've noticed, there's a wall that comes out before you go up the ramp to the second floor in the original. And I, for the life of me, couldn't figure out how Bungie did this. So I just cut that wall out, and now it's just a ramp. Also, this wall over here where the dumpster sits is a bit lower than the original, allowing you to crouch jump up. Like I said, sometimes you just gotta let some things go in life, you can't win them all. Side note, if you're wondering what my method was for this remake, I would stream my Xbox One X to my laptop, and I would have my Xbox 360 running on my TV, so I never had to go back and forth between each game, and this method is really helpful. My method before this was taking screenshots of the section of the map I was making in the MCC and recreate what I saw from the screenshots in Halo 5. This method was dog shit and I don't recommend it. It takes forever and is a very tedious process overall. But it can work if that's what you gotta do. And it also may be a bit easier to get the scaling almost right with streaming my Xbox to my laptop and having the original game on my TV, but it's still hard because you're working with 2 different size screens. But at least you don't have to keep going back and forth between 2 different games each time you move on to make the next thing on your map you're recreating. I just wanted to mention my method real quick because I will pretty much be doing the same kind of thing when Infinite's Forge mode drops, except I will be playing the MCC on my PC and just have my Xbox Series X on my TV this time around because I no longer have that laptop. Also, I wanted to mention it just in case some of you are new to foraging and were wondering how people go about their map remakes. This is just my process, so if that helped you a little bit on your remakes, that's dope. I'm glad to help. The next part of the map is the middle portion, because it's pretty complex as well, but to me, since it's more spread out than say the mechanics garage where everything is real close together, it's a bit easier to make because you can just break it down section by section. Some things were confusing, like this part of the wall connecting the parking garage to the station. I had to fill in a gap, but you probably wouldn't have ever noticed that unless I pointed it out to you. Also, some things got cut like these beams on the ceiling here and across the station's other ceiling as well for budget reasons. Also, there is no breakable glass pieces in Halo 5, so I just figured I'd leave it blank up here, mostly because you had no cover up here in the original to begin with, and the budget was pretty tight at this point. You've probably already noticed that there are no trains on my Reimagining, as well as the skyscrapers that were in the original had to be cut out for the most part or scaled back in scope if they did stay. But I did try to set this cold mood and atmosphere with the skybox, choice, and snow to try to make you forget about all that stuff and to just think about what you're looking at. It probably didn't work, but budget, my guy, budget. Also, I didn't put any trains because I made the track like the original with the turns and the ramp up and what would be a ramp down for the other train. While scripting is good in Halo 5, you can only script a train if you wanted to make a train on your map, that is, to go completely straight. So if you wanted to do that on this map, like the one guy did with his version that was put into matchmaking in Halo 5 that I was salty about for no reason, then you would have to straighten the track completely out and flatten it. But that also changes the layout of the map completely because the 2 tunnels the trains come out of and into are not aligned with one another. So you're compromising sight lines in the process of doing that and making the map play differently than the original. And that's not me knocking Foxy Papa Smurf at all, because that's the guy who made that version of Terminal that got thrown into matchmaking in Halo 5. In fact, that shit blew my mind when I first played it, and was a big reason I deleted my first try at this map because I felt like I couldn't even compete with that. But anyways, from the middle part of the map where we left off before, I want to say I completed the rest of the street and this side for the most part, then made the courtyard, which these walls in the original have a slight slant to them, but my budget was not allowing that, so I had to make them straight up and down. But I did try to keep the angles they came out in like the original. Probably another thing you would have never noticed unless I pointed it out to you. Also, you can drive the Wraith around most of the map with no problem, unlike the original where you can't really drive on the street up here. Which, I mean, probably sucks for the guy on the receiving end, but hey, rocket launcher. From the courtyard, I would go on to connect the rest of the snowy terrain to both sides of the map, then start moving on to lighting and texturing the map. Most of the weapons and vehicles were probably already placed, even though this was years ago at this point. That's just what I usually do, so I have something to shoot or drive around when I'm bored or getting frustrated. Also, at one point while remaking this map, I figured out you could launch the Wraith into the turret on the second floor of the mechanics garage from this underpass, so I had to fix that because it was kind of wacky and I didn't need anyone getting splattered on the turret by a Wraith of all things. But yeah, the last things I usually save for most of my maps for the most part is the texturing, lighting, and spawn points. That's because I used to hate doing it so much, but as I got better at making maps and doing the texturing and lighting, I actually really started to appreciate that part of the journey with my maps. It's the part of the process where it all comes together, and it's pretty damn chill actually, because you're no longer trying to figure out how to put the map together. That part is done with. Now you're just making it look pretty. This part usually takes me forever because I like to just fool around with the different looks with textures and lighting for hours. But I enjoy every damn moment of it because I know I won't be working on the map much longer at that point in the process, and I'll miss making it once it's done. Even though usually after I get quote unquote done making a map, I'll spend another 3 weeks or so on it. And I'm either trying to max the budget out or mess with the lighting in some areas a little bit. Sometimes I'll even figure out an easier way to do something, and I'll rebuild that said something to get some pieces back in the budget. Then I'll add some more detail to the map here and there. Basically just polishing the map up. Not gonna lie to you though, I still hate spawn points. They are the most boring shit ever when it comes to foraging, but it is necessary. But that's pretty much gonna wrap up the video for today though, so if you liked the video, leave a like and also subscribe. It helps a lot, especially since I have a really low sub count already, and I've been doing this for 2 years at this point, probably close to 3 years. Shit, I don't actually know. But anyways, let me get my sub count up, man. It's terrible. Maybe I'm terrible. And remember people, wash your damn hands and have a fantastic day. Alrighty, I'm out. Peace.